Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as the Glazers stop the sale. As Manchester United hold concrete official talks with ONANA, is the goalkeeper situation escalating fast? And where will it end? We are officially in talks with ONANA. Another story about Caicedo, which I'm going to file as absolute bollocks. We'll talk about that as well. Kim Min-jae is going to Bayern. Harry Kane could be going to Bayern. Rabiot is staying at Juventus. Mason Mount deal is getting closer. Rasmus Højlund, we've got an update on that as well. Lots to get into on the show this morning, and we'll try and navigate our way through because there is also an article in The Athletic this morning. A bit of a, we should be sponsored by Boohoo Man actually, because a bit of a sob story that officials at Man United feel that they get overcharged compared to everybody else and it makes John Murtaugh's job really difficult. Boo-hoo-hoo. We get charged more than everybody else. Well, also, I think that this happens to any big club. And unfortunately, we've just got crap people in big positions. I mean, if I go down the local pub today and they say, we're going to charge you 10 quid more for your dinner than them because you're Mark Goldbridge, I'm going to say, actually, you know what? I ain't paying it. I ain't paying it. I'm the consumer, I'm the buyer, I ain't paying more than everybody else. Let's negotiate. But United just go, ooh, knobheads. Do you think Ten Hag will go after Xavi Simons, says TMK? Don't care, not talking about that. And no, I don't. Right, let's fly straight into this. We're going to start off with the Glazer sale stop. This is coming out from a lot of the reports that came out last night around Qatari confidence and Sir Jim. And I think that... What can I just say as well? I've got to get this off my chest. I woke up this morning. You know, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you have a look on social media and sometimes things make you happy and sometimes make you frustrated. I went on Instagram and, well, basically two things, okay? So I went on social media this morning and I saw Kim Min-jae in a Bayern Munich top. And I think I tweeted about it, actually. And effectively, you know, you will get people out there who are just very naive and stupid who will go, we probably weren't even in for Kim Min-jae. I mean, I just think they're John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold and Glazer bots. We were in for Kim Min-jae. We've had Fabrizio Romano on the show every couple of weeks for the last 2 years, and for the last 6 months he's been telling us that we were in for Kim Min-jae. We were in for Kim Min-jae, and we lost because we're incompetent. That's what happened. United spent the last 6 months working on a deal for Kim Min-jae and then got blown out of the water in the space of a day because Bayern Munich came in and put in a better offer. Whether you like that or not, I don't care. The fact is, Manchester United Football Club and Erik ten Hag wanted Kim Min-jae and they lost. They lost. And you know what? You wake up this morning, you see Kim Min-jae, you know, maybe it's photoshopped in a Bayern Munich shirt, and then you go on Instagram and you get a reel from Manchester United of Scott McTominay and Tom Heaton pissing about having a laugh in a new kit. And I'm like, you know what? This is just like watching your best mate marry a supermodel while you're at home knocking one out to your stamp collection. It's just, there's levels to this game. And, you know, that sort of epitomises where we're at as a football club. You know, you see Declan Rice going to Arsenal. They've got Havertz. They want Timber. They now want Tchouaméni as well. Man City are going after Vardiel. They're going to buy a good midfielder. Liverpool are looking at Szoboszlai. They've already got McAllister. They want other people. United are putting clips out of Scott McTominay with Tom Heaton pissing about in a new kit that no one's actually going to buy. It's just levels. It's levels. I mean, can you imagine Man City having some average bloody midfielder piss around with the reserve goalkeeper as their socials? You know, people are revealing... Spurs have just done a video for bloody James Maddison. There's levels to this game and what we're doing at the moment, and it's bloody embarrassing. Look, I don't blame United's admin. I don't blame United's marketing department. What are they supposed to do? You know, but... they're living on scraps. Another summer's going to be wasted. Glazers out, says Jack. It's already wasted, mate. Let's be honest. The contrast between what would have happened if Qatar had got hold of this club in early May to what's happening now, night and day. If we'd had Qatari ownership at the start of May, we'd be in for everything. That, you know, I'm not talking about financial fair play anymore. Financial fair play is just like a shield the Glazers use. This is this financial fair play. Financial fair play. Use that. financial fair play is not even mentioned at Chelsea. They don't even mention it because they just find a way around it by selling players. Pep fears ONANA. I think a lot of teams will need to change their tactics if we sign ONANA, get Mount and Caicedo, says Ray. I think you need to wake up, Ray, and get some coffee. We're not getting Mount, Caicedo and ONANA. Another summer going to be wasted, says Jack. Let's just talk about what's going on with the Glazers then. And can I just say as well, I think we'll do a poll on this actually. Is ONANA and Mount a good summer transfer window? Because you know what? For me, this is like a donut. You know, the outside looks absolutely fantastic, but the ball to get to Mount has to go through the midfield. Casemiro missed over 10 Premier League games last year. That's more than a quarter of the season. I'm just going to pose this question every bloody day on the morning show. How are people not realising we need a defensive-minded midfielder? How are people ignoring this for a goalkeeper that can pass out from the back and another number 8? How are we ignoring the fact that we haven't got a defensive midfielder apart from Casemiro, who's in his early 30s and missed a quarter of the Premier League games last season? What are we going to do when for a quarter of our Premier League games our only defensive midfielder isn't playing? What are we going to do? Like, you're going to have ONANA with the ball looking for a defensive midfielder, and it's going to be Scott McTominay hiding behind Varane or Martinez. And even if he gets the ball, what's he going to do with it? You know, we need to think this through. I cannot believe that people do all these videos and all these tweets and all this analysis about bloody goalkeepers, and they are not acknowledging that games are won and lost in the midfield, and we only have Casemiro, and there was a massive warning last year that he will miss a lot of games, and we've got nobody can do that role. And actually, a lot of the time, he needs somebody to do it next to him. It's not people, Mark. It's Eric Ten Hag who's ignoring it. He only gone after number 8s. Thank God that Frankie de Jong declined us and we got Casemiro, says Sakin. Mo, welcome to Members Club. Look, if there is a flaw in Ten Hag, I have to say, you might have hit on something there. We'll have to wait and see. I hope it's not a flaw. But if he does ignore a defensive-minded midfielder, he clearly doesn't get what this league's all about, and we will get smacked up a few times next season. You can't just buy number 8s and goalkeepers who can pass out from the back. You have to have, warriors in that midfield, and we've only got one. Arnold couldn't sell a bag in Piccadilly Gardens, says George Saunders. I'll have to take your word on that. Welcome to Members Club, Mo. Right, let's start working through some of the news. A bit of vent bridge there. I almost think I need a. You remember we used to have that person I used to go to who had completely different opinions to me. It was me, just with a different voice. I can't remember what we used to call him. Calmbridge, maybe. We need to sort of have a cut screen to Calmbridge, because I'm not calm at the moment. I'm very frustrated. But look, adding to the frustration, I mean, it doesn't add to my frustration much. I suppose most of you would already know this. But so, look, there was a lot of reports coming out last night from business sites about how Qatar are confident, but Sir Jim is still in the race. There was an interesting piece that came out last night that I think is really important, because I know a lot of you are very interested in the sale, and I know a lot of you are very interested in the transfers, and that links into the sale. I don't think you can be a Man United fan and not interested in the sale process, because the sale process is destroying the summer transfer window. It's a fact. So what is actually going on at Manchester United, and why would it say in our title, Glazers stop sale? Because the Glazers obviously are stopping the sale. This has been going on for 4 months now. I spoke to somebody late last night. We were talking about transfers and stuff, and we got onto the sale. And basically what they were saying is that this deal could have been done 4 months ago. You look at where United were 4 months ago. What's the difference now? The first couple of months, you can understand all the bids have got to come in. You know, everyone puts their bid in. Everyone, Elliott Group, Carlisle Group. Is Elon Musk going to do it, or Amazon going to do it? And we got down to probably February, March time. We got down to the fact that it was Sir Jim. In fact, it was February, wasn't it? We got down to the fact that it was Sir Jim versus Qatar in February. And this person was saying to me yesterday, what's changed? From February to now, what's changed? It's just different shades of shit, really. It's Sir Jim against Qatar, and it's been that for over 4 months. Why has it been like that? Because the Glazers are stopping the sale. So what these reports are saying, but we know this anyway, but sometimes it's good to be reminded, and this is fresh from last night, not from who I spoke to, it's in all the press and everything like that. The reason the sale hasn't happened yet is because the Glazers are infighting. You've got 4 of the 6 siblings that want to sell to Qatar, and you've got Joel and Avram, who are the face of Man United when it comes to the Glazers, who don't want to sell. They don't want to sell because they want to stay, and they think that United can be run better if the other four siblings are gone, because they can do things that they couldn't do before because the other four siblings have a vote. I have no trust for the Glazers. I have no trust for Joel and Avram. I think they are not football people. They've got no bloody idea. So imagine what their siblings are like if those two think that the siblings haven't got a clue. I mean, they must be complete and utter turbo morons. But that's what's going on here. The four siblings who we never see and just see United as a cash cow want to sell to Qatar. And Avram and Joel, who also see United as a cash cow but are quite interested in it, want to stay. Neither can vote each other through, and this is why you've got a deadlock. Remember this in December when we're sixth. Not Eric's fault, says finding, and screw it, make McTominay our striker and buy a defensive midfielder. I've had enough, says Bruno next to Casemiro and Mount at 10. Yeah, you know nothing, mate. You know nothing about football. I'm sorry, you can't play Bruno Fernandes as a defensive midfielder. So at the end of the day, what you've got is Qatar ready to buy United, Sir Jim ready to invest and own Manchester United but keep the Glazers. You've got Joel and Avram who would like to stay and work with Sir Jim, and then you've got the other four siblings who want to sell and go to Qatar. However, they've all got to agree, and they can't agree because basically the four don't want to sell to Sir Jim and let Joel and Avram stay. They want everyone to go. And also, the shareholders don't like that deal either. The shareholders like the full sale to Qatar. The four siblings like the full sale to Qatar. But Joel and Avram don't like that. So ultimately, Joel and Avram Glazer are the issue. Because the shareholders are happy to be sold to Qatar, which is the 30%. The 70%, which is the Glazers. Four siblings want to sell to Qatar, but Joel and Avram don't. Joel and Avram want to do a deal with Sir Jim. The shareholders don't like that, and the other four siblings don't like that. And this has basically been what's going on for the last 4 months. So, look, are we about to get an announcement that Qatar are buying Manchester United early next week? Possibly. But on the other hand, possibly not if they can't resolve what we just discussed there. With Rice signing for Arsenal, you can sign El Nini, says NA. And Fred and cash for Palina is the deal I wish we would do, says Matt. Hoyland, Mount, Onana and Sabitzer is our summer, says Moy. And it won't be good enough. It will not be good enough. That will not be good enough. You've got to buy a holding midfielder. So look, if you want to know what's going on with the sale and you're watching Market Watch and you're watching the share price and you're expecting tomorrow, like you were 2 weeks ago, deal done for Qatar. As we keep saying, Qatar are favourites to win this, but explain to the world how you will negotiate through a situation where Joel and Avram are reluctant to sell to Qatar and everyone else wants them to within the club, and then everyone else doesn't want to sell to Sir Jim, but Joel and Avram does. It's a mess, and when you think about it logically, the person I spoke to last night was absolutely spot on. That this situation has been this situation for 4 or 5 months, and it could be this situation for another 4 or 5 months, 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 days, who knows. Our best transfer this summer, Mark, would be Sheikh Jazim taking control of United. Short-term pain for the long-term gain, hopefully, says Mo. And it's on Eric Ten Hag as well as the board. If we are 6th in December, he spent a month chasing after a player we don't even need in Mount. Every United manager hates defensive midfielders, says Sakin. Well, that's a nice feed into what's going on with the strikers. And look, I've said about the goalkeeper, it's interesting. 12 years ago today, David De Gea signed for Manchester United. He's won a Premier League title. He's got more clean sheets than any Manchester United goalkeeper in our history. You know, when you look at what he's achieved in 12 years, I mean, I was watching Sky last night and you had like Patrice Evra and Ferdinand and Johnny Evans playing, and De Gea was in goal. He's been here for ages. He's definitely a legend of the club and he definitely deserves respect. Legend, great, whatever. He is. You can't just shit on him because you don't want him anymore. 12 years today he's been at the club. Will it be tomorrow that 12 years ends? Because ultimately, I've been saying about ONANA, a lot of this is Italian reports. Not a lot of it is coming in from English reports, and it still isn't. So is it true? Is it real? Well, Damartio said it's true, and now Fabrizio Romano has come out and said concrete talks are taking place with ONANA. And I think for me, that's the seal of approval. I'm never, ever too sure about Italian reports. They're there with Portuguese reports for me. They're very, very unreliable. But when Fabrizio Romano comes out and says that Man United are holding concrete talks with ONANA, I think you can take into account everything that's been said over the last few weeks about meetings with agents, Inter's sporting director. I think you've got to look at it and say that it looks like, well, at the very least, if United don't get him, the question's got to be why. So I feel that this ONANA deal with the Fabrizio seal of approval is moving towards conclusion. And it could be a very, very quick conclusion. I have nothing negative to say. I mean, for me, ONANA's box office, I thought he was going to go to Chelsea at the start of the summer, and I was like, I'll definitely watch Chelsea. I think he's fantastic to watch. And if he's going to wear a Man United shirt, that's even better. So I can't criticise the signing of ONANA. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper to watch. I love watching him, and I think it will be a pleasure to have a player like that. I'm not saying it's going to be a success. Who knows? You can buy the best player in the world and they might flop. I mean, we bought Varane. And look what happened with him. So he could flop, but it's a very entertaining signing. My only question would be, it's not that we just need another 6. We don't even have real number 8s. Bruno and Eriksen and Mount are realistically 10s, not 8s, says James. And I was saying Bruno next to Casemiro if we don't sign a DM. I would be ashamed because we lose Bruno at 10, but it's better than having to play Eriksen. Oh no, you can't play Bruno Fernandes as a midfielder. I think people get lost between I'll play anywhere and actually being good at playing at that role. I work in a restaurant in Budapest where the Glazers came yesterday for lunch. They are more bothered about holidays than Manchester United, says Michael. And 89 Achilles, welcome to the members club. Luke says, I love United Stand, but scared to watch it because I'm really fed up with the bad news in this club week in, week out, says Luke. Well, it's a news show, Luke. We can't hide from the news. The news is the news, isn't it? That's where it is. Anton says, I don't think ONANA will be a disaster for Manchester United. What I wanted to ask you, and I've got an update on Højlund, and there's a few bits I want to talk about around recruitment, but I want to ask you, ONANA, let's just type this out, ONANA and Mount for 110 million, is that good? And the context to that, because I can't type it all out, is if we sign Mount and ONANA, they look like our first 2 signings. That's basically our budget gone until we sell people. So we will spend more than that, but our budget is basically gone until we sell players on ONANA and Mount. Forget the names. Forget what you think about Mount, because a lot of people don't want Mount. Forget what you think about ONANA, because a lot of people do want ONANA. Look at it in relation to priorities. Goalkeeper and number 8. If we walk into this transfer window at the end of May again, and somebody said to me, our first 2 signings, and we're going to spend over £100 million, is a goalkeeper and a number 8, I would have said, you're having a laugh. What are you talking about? Goalkeeper and number 8 are going to be our first 2 signings. You're having a joke. That can't be right. It's got to be number 9, number 6, centre back. That's got to be what we do. So I find that incredible, really. Absolutely incredible. Now, hold on a minute, because my door's just... Sorry about that little bit of a delay. There are other people in the house. You'd think they'd know I do a morning show every morning at 10 o'clock. But no, they'll be sat on their arse having a shit somewhere, won't they? Man United getting ONANA while Chelsea looking to get Costa just shows even though you have champions, we are clear, says Jake. And Key from New Zealand only started watching football at the start of the season, but what a sport it is. I've watched every show this window. Thanks, bro, says Isaac. Thank you very much. You have the priorities wrong. You prioritise players going straight into the first team like Mount and ONANA. A CDM will be a backup to Casemiro, says Red. I don't want to sit you down, Red, but if you want to get a cushion, get ready. I seem to think that the striker is the priority in this team. If you'd said to me at the start of the summer transfer window, we were going to sign a goalkeeper and Mount, I'd have said, I like ONANA and I don't mind signing Mount, but I don't know what we're doing in this transfer window. I mean, the striker is so far ahead of what we need at Manchester United. We literally don't have a fucking striker. I mean, I think people are suffering with amnesia. Maybe it's like post-traumatic stress. But I'm going to remind you, warning, if you don't want to listen to this, I've warned you, you've got run out of the room. We were playing fucking Weghorst up front last season. And we're not buying a striker first. I mean, come on. There ain't no way we need a number 8 before we need a striker. I don't get the Mason Mount signing. I don't mind the Mason Mount signing. I'm shocked by it. I can't believe how much we're spending on it. But I like the manager, I support the manager, and I don't mind Mason Mount. But I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not concerned that we're buying a number 8 and a goalkeeper before we buy a striker when we actually need 2 strikers. And that's what annoys me as well. We need 2 strikers. We're Manchester United. We're not bloody Southampton. We shouldn't be going into a season with 1 striker. And don't talk to me about Marcus Rashford playing up front because he's way better off the left. And don't talk to me about Anthony Martial because he's injured. He's always injured. We've got no striker. We literally have got no striker. Not one, not a youth player coming through. We've got 0 strikers. And we're buying a number 8 and a goalkeeper. And apparently we haven't even got much money left if we do that. So what are we doing with the striker situation? And why are we not buying 2 when there are plenty of strikers out there? Since most of them transfers are done in instalments, don't you think we can still manage within the 150 million mark as the initial outlay, says Mo? Look, we will. Look, in relation to value, we'll spend £200 million on players. How we do it, I don't know. We should get Højlund and João Felix on loan with option to buy next season. Smarter way to do business, says Jay. And hi, Mark. It's 2:18 a.m. here in the US. Always look forward to your morning show before going to bed. Saw the notification and my heart dropped. Glazers out, says Juno. And Carmine, not heard from you for a while, Carmine. He's just gifted 20 memberships. What a legend. Give him some love. And Zero Connection says, if the Glazers don't sell, will it be a missed opportunity for them? Qatar could buy another Premier League club, so Jim could croak in the next 10 years. Glazers might not get a chance like this again, says Zero Connection. Yeah, well, look, I think with regards on relation to Rasmus Højlund, he is still very much on the agenda for Manchester United. He's recently been in Greece on holiday. He's now back in Denmark. I don't know when Atalanta are back in pre-season training, but that deal can be done. You know, he's had his holiday. He's back in Denmark now. Obviously, that's still holiday for him, but it's where he's from. So, that deal can be done. And every indication from his side and, is that deal can be done. Like, are we doing it? And as I say, I find it weird because United are prioritising Mason Mount and a goalkeeper over a striker. At the moment, they are not working deep in on a striker. So it's weird. It's weird. Our recruitment team obviously can't work on more than 1 deal at once, says Steg. I don't understand why every resource isn't going into a striker first. Well, it's literally what I just said, yeah. Never said we shouldn't buy a striker. I said you buy players for the first team first, but of course you twist people's words. No, Red, I'm not twisting people's words. Not twisting people's words at all. You said I was wrong, and you said we're right to sign a number 8 and a goalkeeper because they go straight into the first team. And I said we haven't got a striker. So what are you talking about? The striker's the priority. Everyone knows it's the priority, and it goes straight into the first team. So you're wrong again. I'm sorry. Some people might agree with you, but in my opinion, you're wrong because you tried to present an argument that is wrong. You said, I'm wrong because I'm wrong to say that prioritising a number 8 and a goalkeeper is wrong because they go straight into the first team. And I said, well, no, striker's more important. They go straight into the first team. And actually, where does Mason Mount play? Mason Mount will play next to Casemiro and Bruno, but we've got Eriksen for that. So we haven't got a striker, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you can believe what you want to believe, but in my opinion, you're wrong because we do need the striker and we're not doing it. Just a thought. I've heard it said Qatar can't contribute to the window, but if they're clearing the debt, can signings not be added to the debt? How are they going to contribute to Chris? You can't start spending money on something you haven't bought. I think if we've only 120 million, the 2 priorities have to be a striker and a centre midfielder. Defo can't afford Kane though. Love the show, says Raskit. And after ONANA and Mount, do you think United can raise the funds by 100 million to buy Højlund and Mamie Amrabat, says Dej? Well, they've got to sell players, haven't they? And Sakin says, Erik Ten Hag probably believes Rashford is the striker just because they wear the numbers. Don't make Rashford and Garnacho into Rooney and Ronaldo. So Sakin, well, you make a very, very good point there, Sakin. You make a very, very good point there, because it's something I've said and we've discussed quite a few times on this channel, that it feels to me like Erik Ten Hag, his obsession is Marcus Rashford. It always has been. He said it, he said it in his meeting to get the job, he said it. So the interesting thing is that, he thinks Rashford's a striker. Now, Rashford can become a striker. He can become a striker. There's no doubt about that. But I don't like Rashford as a striker. I don't think he's got the attributes to be a striker. I think he's way better with the ball at his feet. Mo's just gifted 10 memberships. You're a legend. But maybe that's what he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking Garnacho off the left, Rashford down the middle. I mean, I think that is going to happen, by the way. But you still need a striker, because Marcus Rashford's not, impenetrable, is he? He will pick up injuries. We've only got one striker, and it's Marcus Rashford, really. And I don't think Rashford's a good striker, so I think Rashford's better off the left. Just a bit of, I want to talk about this director of football nonsense, but just Chris Wheeler, who was on the show before, has said that even if De Gea signs the second lower offer, he knows that he'll no longer be the number one at Man United. United are looking at Andre ONANA. That's coming in from Chris Wheeler. We've also got this Laurie Whitwell say staff at Manchester United insisted they will go higher than 55 million for Mason Mount. They will not go higher and will end communication if Chelsea show no movement, although talks are taking place to see if the payment structure can be altered to find an agreement. So Mason Mount is very, very likely to happen. United apparently are denying the uncertainty over ownership is affecting transfers this summer, but several agents looking to do business with the club report that only one major signing can be made before there is clarity on that front. Manchester United have contacted Caicedo's representatives and suggested they would be prepared to go higher than they have with Mason Mount because of the Ecuadorian being 3 years younger, but Brighton want 100 million for Caicedo, which has led connected individuals to severely doubt United's capability of doing a deal. Manchester United are denying that they've approached Moises Caicedo just to try and frustrate Chelsea. I think that's complete and utter bullshit. I'm quite happy to sit here and say United will not sign Caicedo. I'm not happy about that. I want us to sign Caicedo, but I think we all know that this football club is not professional. All we want as fans, and I think I speak for us all here, I can't wait to get to the point where we're doing news shows and saying, I think United are playing games here and they know what they're doing. Unfortunately, we know we've got a board and a recruitment team that have got no intelligence at all. So when they say, oh no, we're not speaking to, we genuinely do want Caicedo, we're not doing it to try and wind Chelsea up because they won't give us Mount. We know they've approached Caicedo to wind Chelsea up to try and give them Mount. We know that because they're so basic in what they do, and we've got years and years and years of experience of how bad we are at transfers. And also, I know it, and I think a lot of you know it now, but I know it firsthand from agents of players, journalists and other clubs' representatives that Manchester United in the transfer market are an absolute joke. Everybody in the industry thinks we're a joke. We are a joke. They treat us like a joke. So any press release you get that United are in control and they know what they're doing, you can absolutely take it to the bank. Rest assured, 100%, it's nonsense because we are considered a joke. Crystal Palace have bent us over. Leicester, Sporting Lisbon, Dortmund, Ajax. These are not superpowers of football, and over the recent years, they've absolutely destroyed us on transfers. Smaller clubs than us take the piss out of us. So that is what we are. This is what we do. We are not signing Caicedo. We do not. I really want us to sign Caicedo. We don't have the money to sign Caicedo. And the fact that United ring up and go, yeah, we're genuinely interested, they think that these people are thicker than them. I tell you what, if they can find people thicker than us at doing transfers, don't tell the Glazers, they'll give them a job. We're going to spend £55 million on Mason Mount. We're going to spend £50 million on ONANA. That's 105. We've still got to buy a striker. And we're going to buy Caicedo for 80 million. It's not happening. It's just not happening. Casido is not happening. We are not in for Casido, and it's bullshit. And I don't know why United have put it out there. And the only reason I can think is they put it out there is because they're trying to put some silly pressure on Chelsea that Chelsea will see coming a mile off. I was late to the show this morning because I was having an argument with Piers Morgan on Twitter because he's talking about Arsenal's transfer window and he goes, well, if we've got anything about us, we should just go and get Osimhen. And I said, mate, for a businessman, you've got absolutely no idea about football financials. And of course he called me an internet troll. And I said, it's not about being an internet troll. You've spent £200 million on players. Havertz, Rice, you're going to get Timber. That's £200 million on players. And you think you're going to buy Osimhen for 140. No club is spending 340 million, and it's not Arsenal. So he comes back with, we've got loads of players that we could sell that could fund that. Oh, have you? Can I have the list of Arsenal players that is going to raise you 150 million pounds to buy Osimhen? Not a chance. You've got to look at so it's not just exclusive to us. You know, we can read our situation, but you know, other clubs have idiot fans as well. Like, you can't just say, let's buy Casido, let's buy Mount, let's buy Kane, let's buy ONANA, let's buy another top centre-back. You get to £300-400 million in no time, and we haven't got that money. So we're not signing Casido because we haven't got the money. And I hope there's someone at United going, go and get Casido. I want to shut that goal bridge up. I don't mind being the fall guy. If we buy Casido, I'm happy. If we get ONANA, Casido, Mount and a striker, I'm happy. But at the moment, I'm worried because I'm going, ONANA, Mount, striker, where's the bloody midfielder that's got something about him? Because we desperately need one and it's going to hurt us next year. I don't care how good Mount is, how good a striker is, how good ONANA is. If Casemiro misses another quarter of our games, we will be fucked without him. You can't just go, oh, we've got Martinez, we've got Rashford, we've got Mount, we've got a goalkeeper, we've got a striker. Football's a team. You take Rodri out of Man City's side for a whole year, you'll notice a big difference. They've probably got a guy who can come in and do that job. Maybe Calvin Phillips, maybe someone else. You take Casemiro out United side, you're playing Scott McTominay. Like, I'm sorry, that is not the same. So if we don't see that risk over the summer and we don't do something about it, we will struggle. We will struggle. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to predict the problems. But you can't sit there. Every fan has got the right to have an opinion. I've said this for years. Everyone's got a right to have an opinion. You can disagree with it, but they might be right. And my opinion is, if we don't get a holding midfielder that can come in and work with Casemiro and give him a rest and be there when he's suspended and play next to him at places like Anfield and Etihad, we're in the Champions League as well. We will get beat a few times next season. And, you know, you don't want to go into a season knowing you're going to get beat a few times. You want to go into a season believing that we are prepared for most eventualities. And there's a massive hole in that midfield again if we don't buy a holding midfielder. This is the bit I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, my God. So this is coming in from The Athletic. I don't even know how to sort of shape this because it's absolutely incredible. And it's coming in from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic, so you know it's well sourced. People at Man United feel that selling clubs impose a United tax on transfers. John Murtagh experienced this last year when a young player who he knew had been quoted at 15 million, United phoned his club and they wanted 28 million. I mean, what on earth are Manchester United doing putting that out? It's a victim mentality. What are we supposed to do? Oh, it's not fair. I feel... Can I write a sympathy card to John Murtagh? I mean, you don't put that information out. Why would you put that information out? I tell you what it does. It again portrays an absolute lack of knowledge of who their audience is. And I think United have been guilty of this for years. They don't know who their fans are. They don't know how their fans think. They haven't got a clue. It's really easy to get a load of likes on Twitter by putting Ronaldo in the new shirt. Of course, or Rashford in the new shirt. You know, you're not a top marketeering expert if you put a bloody picture out of Rashford in the new shirt and get a load of likes. But where you do earn your corn is when you figure out how to play to your fans. Who has allowed that to come out? I mean, That just ridicules the director of football. But there'll be somebody out there that thinks that actually is a positive for John Murtough. Fans will sympathise with John Murtough and Man United's recruitment team. I can't believe it's out there. It ridicules him. It absolutely ridicules him. United want their director of football to be the best director of football in football. They want their director of football to have a reputation for being an arsehole, a businessman, somebody who, walks into a shop, the shop assistant tries to sell him a bottle of Prime for 10 quid and they end up giving him a fiver to take it because he's that good at negotiating. That's what we want. We don't want sympathy votes publicly put out there for our director of football. And even if you take what Laurie Whitwell's written there, that John Murtough approached a young player last season because he knew he was available for 15 million and then they charged United 28. Do you not realise that that's in your job description? Negotiations. When you knock on that door because you think he's worth 15 million and they say 28 million, you say, but he's 15 million, well, we want 28. Is he for sale? No. There's an offer, 15 million quid. If anyone else puts another offer in, we'll come back. Fuck off. That's it. Or you speak to the player and get him to put a transfer request in. You don't just knock on the door of a club and go, we've heard he's available for 15. It's 28. All right, see you later. I mean, it's just... I can't... It defies logic that those sort of things come out. Real Madrid will have this sort of stuff all the time. They are the biggest football club in the world. And they very rarely get done over. Like, if I'm Borussia Dortmund, right? And I've got a midfielder like Jude Bellingham, and I know Real Madrid want him, I'm going to say I want 200 million quid. You're Real Madrid, you want Jude Bellingham, I want 200 million quid. Do Real Madrid end up paying 200 million pounds, or do they end up paying 100? They end up paying 100. How does that happen? And how is that any different to, well, we thought he was 15 and they doubled it? That's just the first round of negotiations. How do Real Madrid get that price down from 200 to 100? Because if I'm Dortmund, I'm saying I want 200 million for Bellingham, and I'm sure at some point they did. The reason Real Madrid get that down is because they're bullies. They're business bullies. They get the player absolutely in love with going to Real Madrid. So the player's knocking on the door saying, I want to go to Real Madrid. I don't want to go anywhere else. Don't start getting me in a bidding war. Don't start trying to get Liverpool or Man City in. I'm not going to the Premier League. I want to go to Real Madrid. It's the only place I want to go. Straight away, that price has come down because you know that player is basically a problem. He only wants to go to Real Madrid. So you can't say 200 million anymore. Real Madrid come in and they just negotiate the shit out of it. They go, the player wants to come. We really want the player. Let's talk real. And it gets negotiated down. That's just how it happens. But we're not capable of doing that. I think so many of you get it. And I just think that's embarrassing that a story gets put out there that is a sympathy vote for your director of football. Oh my God, we're Manchester United. It's like, you know what that's the equivalent of? That's the equivalent of you play against Man City in the Manchester Derby next season. Some crap right back plays at right back, gets absolutely destroyed by Jack Grealish. Grealish scores a hat-trick and sets another 3 up. We get beat 6-0, and then the next day, United put a story out going, well, he tried his best. He'd studied Grealish all week, and Grealish actually hasn't been playing well recently, so he thought he'd be all right. But Grealish came in and was absolutely brilliant and just bullied him. Oh, that's fine then. That's absolutely fine. It all comes down to standards. We should not be sympathy voting our director of football or our CEO. They're facilitators at the end of the day. I'd love to have a conversation with a John Murtough or a Richard Arnold, but they're terrified, and why wouldn't they be? Because not because of me or you, just because the sort of questions they get asked, they can't answer them. I get that, but I long for the day where Qatar come in and buy this football club, because what they will do is the same thing Newcastle did, and it's the same thing Man City did, and there's a blueprint. You go and recruit the best director of football. You go and recruit the bullies. You go and recruit the best CEO. You go and recruit the best negotiators. So you build a team that basically Real Madrid have got, that other clubs have got. And suddenly, overnight, Every other club, whether, the next time we try and buy a right back from Crystal Palace, we bully them instead of them bullying us. It can change overnight. It's just about personnel. And people who say you can't change it overnight, Man United won the treble in 99. Did they win the treble in 2019? No. Still Man United, different standards. Same thing can happen with your recruitment team, your CEO and your director of football. You can have the worst reputation in the world and be absolutely terrible. Sack them all, bring competent people in, you can suddenly be negotiating like Real Madrid. The problem that Man United have got is the Glazers have created this jobs for the boys, narcissistic, incompetent approach where everybody's a facilitator, and everybody, they're basically lawyers. They're basically lawyers. If you think about how it works like this. If the Glazers were in court, they don't say anything until they're in the box. It's their lawyer that defends them and says, no, this didn't happen, that doesn't happen. That's all Richard Arnold does. He's just a facilitator. He's just a lawyer. He's a Glazer employee who was a big part of them getting hold of the club in the first place, who will come out with things like Ed Woodward used to about we can do anything in the market, we're really ambitious, but ultimately you're a facilitator for the Glazers. That's what you are. You're a Glazer employee, you're a facilitator, you protect them, you put stuff out there about financial fair play, which anyone with a brain knows isn't true. The Glazers have destroyed this football club, and the board and the recruitment team are a direct result of that, and they basically play to the tune that the Glazers ask them to, and they're happy to do it. They're happy to get their wage. They're happy to facilitate the Glazer ownership. And, why wouldn't they be? They're being paid good money. But it will change overnight if you get a proper ownership in, because they will come in, they will look at the last 10 years, they will go that these people aren't good enough, and they know they weren't good enough, and they didn't do anything about it. They just... I hear all the time, these people are good people and they really want to work well, but the Glazers are stopping them. Well, go and work for Everton then. If you're so good at your job, go and work for Everton and work at a club where you've got freedom. I've got no sympathy for the IT guy who moans all the time about he's got all these ideas, but the company he works for won't let him do it. Go freelance. Go and work for a company that will. And I'm tired of that. There's so many good people working in recruitment and on the board, but they're restricted by the Glazers. Well, piss off and find another job then. If you're not happy with you're being restricted, they're all happy to take their wage. They're facilitators. They need to go. Very worried about the season. You'd think the club would want to kick on after a decent season. ONANA, Kim Min-jae, Rabiot, Kane, Højlund was my dream window, but Glazers have ruined it, says Tunij. Welcome to Members Club, Andrew. And I think the top management lacks passion for the job, and the club give the job to a Man United avid and see us improve, says Karen. You know what, Karen? You don't need to be a Manchester United fan to be the best director of football in the world. You don't. There's plenty of sporting directors out there, as they call them on the continent, who go job to job and work at different football clubs and do really, really well. We need to be better. I know we need strikers and a number 8 like Casemiro, but what about our bench? We need to strengthen the bench as well eventually, says James. Well, the bench will naturally improve with good signings. It's happening with Arsenal. If you look at Arsenal, Havertz, where does he start? If he starts, Jesus, Martinelli, Odegaard or Saka go to the bench. So Havertz going to Arsenal strengthens the bench because one of them's got to be on the bench. Timber at Arsenal strengthens the bench because Gabriel Saliba will still be there. You can only pick 2 centre-backs, so one of them go to the bench. Declan Rice and Lavia or Tchouameni or whoever else Arsenal buy because they want another midfielder. That strengthens their bench because you've got more midfield options then. Manchester United, if we sign Mason Mount, it does strengthen the bench because you can't pick Mount, Eriksen and Bruno, so one of them go to the bench, which means you can sell, probably going to be Fred, isn't it? But it should be McTominay. You buy Kim Min-jae, that means Lindelof's on the bench and either Varane or Kim Min-jae are on the bench. You've strengthened your bench, you piss Maguire off. Striker, we've got no striker, so that's difficult. But buy a holding midfielder, buy Caicedo. Can Caicedo play with Casemiro? Yes, he can. So that would mean that Mount and Eriksen are on the bench. Or you don't play Caicedo because you want to play Mount in a home game, Caicedo's on the bench or Casemiro's on the bench. You improve your bench by buying better players. Arsenal spent 170 million and are recruiting more, says N. Look, there's rivalry We're not buying Kim Min-jae, I know, but we wanted to buy Kim Min-jae. That was the point. There's rivalry, and then there's common sense. What Arsenal have done with Arteta, not just this summer, but the last couple of summers, is how you back a manager and how you run a football club. And Arsenal fans were protesting against the Kroenkes. Now, we all want Qatar. We all want Sir Jim, whoever it is. Most of us want Qatar, want it because it's a full sale. But it doesn't mean that just because you've got owners that you don't really trust, they can't run the club properly. Like, the Glazers could have run this football club so much better if they actually cared. Like, there was nothing stopping the Glazers getting in a proper CEO, getting a proper director of football in. They didn't. We've spent over £1 billion in the last decade because the Glazers let idiots buy players. Like, the Glazers are cretins. The Glazers are disgusting, what they've done to this football club. But one of the ridiculous things as well is, not only is it decay of Old Trafford, debt, dividends, when they have spent money, and they have spent money, they've allowed clowns to do it. Imagine if in 2013 they'd sacked Ed Woodward, got rid of John Murtagh, got rid of Richard Arnold, got rid of Matt Judge, and revolutionised that recruitment team. For the last 10 years, when we spent that billion, we'd be in a better position. So, look, the great thing that Arsenal have done is they've built a team around Arteta, and they finished second last year. And look, there will be people saying there, I'm not too worried because we don't normally do business in June. That's absolutely fine. Why don't we do business in June? For the same reason we don't do business in January. United have got some weird rule that they don't buy in June and they don't buy in January. Well, Arsenal bought Trossard and Jorginho in January, which strengthened their squad. And in the summer, they've already got Declan Rice, Havertz and Timber by the end of June. Don't tell me that not doing business in June is normal. It's stupid and it lacks ambition. And, you can always justify... There's always another side, but why don't we do business in June? When do you think was the best negotiated transfer we did, in or out? Our recruitment team has not done its job for about 10 years, says James. I think the best transfer we did out was Dan James. To get £25 million for him was remarkable. The best signing we've ever done coming in, we always pay a lot of money. We always pay a lot of money. Look, I think Martinez is a good signing. We did overpay. Anthony, we overpaid. Casemiro for 60 million was probably about right. Bruno's not a bad deal. We took a long time to do it. We're just not very good at transfers. Can there be any plausible explanation for the mediocrity at Man United? It hurts me to see my club in this state. Karan, the only explanation for Manchester United and what we do is that the football club from top to bottom is run by incompetent people. And incompetent people at the top bleeds to incompetence down below. You cannot carry incompetence at the top of any business because they're the decision makers. You can have an incompetent person in the middle because you can remove them and they're not making that much damage anyway. You can have an incompetent person at the bottom and they'll get exposed and you can change it. But when you've got incompetence at the top, the whole club is going to bleed down with incompetence because they're the ones in power. That's what needs to change. That is what needs to change. Somebody just said there was something you need to talk about. Goldbridge, just check Twitter. I will check Twitter, of course. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, by the way. We've got another transfer forum coming in for you at 4. Chelsea have started internal discussions about replacements for Mount as they prepare for more talks with the United this week. It's not Mason Mount's fault, but I'm bored of it. I'm really bored of it. Man United have still not made a final decision on the future of David De Gea. That's coming in from the Manchester Evening News. I think they're trying to sign ONANA, aren't they? Probably. I don't know. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. A little bit about Mason Greenwood, that they're thinking about loaning Manchester United. Slow sports news. We knew about that a week ago. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you all in a bit.